Hey everybody, welcome to my review of The Handmaid's Tale. I know this video was a little late, but here we go. So we have Commander Lawrence. He's on the island where he's creating the new Bethlehem. He's presenting it to the committee. I'm gonna just call them committee because I can't remember what they're called. Um, he wants to bring the refugees back to New Bethlehem with the promise of meeting back up with loved ones and children. So the committee's concerned that there there are people in Gilead called defectors that will try to get to this place, and they're asking Commander Lawrence, does he have any concerns about that? He said that Gilead needs to grow up and have moral fortitude. Good luck with that. So he plans on going to Toronto to talk to 100 families to see if they're interested in coming back. And of course, you know, his first target is June. She's going to be the face of it. So June meets with Commander Lawrence after meeting with Serena. And she wants to know if he could stop the marriage, Hannah from getting married. She feels like he's sick for creating this Gilead. And Commander Lawrence feel regret. You know, he had another thing in mind, but he said it went to the left. So he pleads to June to help him get New Bethlehem up so that he could change things. You know, he's feeling really remorseful about how Gilead turned out. He wants a place where people have their rights and they can leave the country and travel the world. He said he has to make it right. He has no choice. Interesting. So we have Commander Lawrence with Nick trying to convince him to become his ally for New Bethlehem. And of course, he throws June in to give Nick some incentive. Nick says it's a big risk, and he says, and Commander Lawrence says, well, you'll have both your children here and both the women that you love here. Child, Commander Lawrence gonna do anything he can to get this new Bethlehem up and running. He gonna make sure his agenda is met at the sacrifice of whoever. That's what it's looking like. So we have Serena at the detention center. She's pumping her breast milk for the baby. She has Miss Wheeler come to pick up the milk personally. Miss Wheeler is very impersonal. She feels that Serena is an unfit mother. And she tells Serena that the baby, they're practicing the crying out method with the baby so he can have mental toughness. Serena gets upset. She feels like the baby needs to be held. He's only 1 month old. And Miss Wheeler is like, that is not how it works. And she feel like this is why Serena will be an unfit mother. Child. Serena, you created these rules. So, I mean, what you want? Serena meets with, well, Commander Lawrence comes to meet with Serena at the detention center. She's making all these commands. Did you get me out of here? Are you getting me out of here? Commander Lawrence said, well, yep, I'm getting you out of here. I'm releasing you back to the Wheelers in a room at the Wheelers' house. She's like, I can't go back there. They're trying to make me a handmaid. I don't want to be in a house with the people who are trying to kidnap my son. And Commander Lawrence is giving her all these faces. His faces are hilarious. Basically, she said she don't want to go back because she don't want to be a handmaid. And he was like, you really don't have a choice because they have legal status to watch your son. They can't kidnap your son if he's on your nipple. Okay. Yo, he had me cracking up. He is hilarious. Very sarcastic. So Serena's back at the Wheelers. They released her to the Wheelers. She apologized for everything that happens, and she thanks them for letting them back to nurse the baby. And Miss Wheeler kindly let her know that that's all you'll be doing, and I'll be doing the rest of the mothering. Serena clenches her hands. She planned on getting revenge like June advised her to do. So they direct her towards the baby. She hears the baby crying. She runs up the stairs, about to bust in the room. She forgot she's in the handmaid role, so she asks if she can go in. She goes, hugs her baby, and starts to nurse her baby. So June, Maura, Luke, and Rita are in the house um, to the sounds of a phone ringing and protesters outside. The phone ringing is Serena calling from the detention center. She's trying to get in touch with June, but they've been ignoring her calls. And then we have the protesters outside saying that they should go home. I find that strange only because the episodes before this, there was no uproar about them going home. I don't believe. I didn't see anything about them having to go home. I thought Canada was a place for them to come for refuge, but we'll see how this plays out. So Luke, June, and Maura are cleaning up the sidewalk from the protesters writing on the sidewalk saying that they need to go home. And Luke is like, maybe we should leave this place. Maura was like, they wasn't that bad when she came, but it's getting worse. And Luke wants to go Hawaii, Europe. June was like, that's too far from their daughter. So she was like, no, no. Then June gets a phone call. It's Commander Lawrence. He wants to speak to her for a minute. So Commander Lawrence sells June on New Bethlehem by saying that he could bring Hannah to New Bethlehem while she runs her household, which means she's going to be married. She's going to be married off, but June could be there to watch her daughter go. There'll be no handmaids. They could keep a diary. They could read a book. Child. June's soft spot is her daughter. And I don't think she heard the rest of what he said. Me personally, I still feel like there's going to be restrictions. Whether it's a little more lax, there's still going to be restrictions. So Commander Lawrence gives June a phone so that she can have direct contact with her in case she changes her mind. He tells her to think about it. So of course June brings it back to Luke. Luke is like, hell no, you know. And June, she's trying to convince him that we're going to be closer to Hannah, and he had to make it clear. So we're going to be around our 12-year-old daughter who's going to be married off to a grown man who's going to be doing God knows what to her. And June kind of snapped out of it. And she was like, we need to be close to Hannah. He said, no, we need to get her out of there. So June's steady trying to convince him. She's talking about Commander Lawrence is her friend. And he was like, your friend, like, he told her to get out of her emotions, and I agree. She just want to get her daughter, and she's willing to do anything. She feel like Commander Lawrence helped her with a whole lot of other things, but he damn sure ain't help you make sure Hannah got out with you when y'all got out. So think about it, June. So June wakes up from a night of, trying to get Nicole to sleep to find out that Terezio is in the house. He's talking to Luke. He shows up because he finds out that Commander Lawrence is there talking to families, trying to get them to go back to New Bethlehem. He says Commander Lawrence is trying to get rid of America, and June wants to know what that got to do with her. She needs to know what they're going to do about Hannah. He feels like June shouldn't go back. June promptly let him know, well, they're offering me Hannah. What are you offering me? And he feels like, well, what are you going to do for your country? And she said, F the country, and walked away. So here's what concerned me about this whole conversation, because it's a possibility that something like this can really, really happen. So, well, a bit concerning to me, but okay, I'm gonna take it as a show. So he lets them know that they plan on doing some type of attack or whatever, and June wants to know what that got to do with them. And he really couldn't say nothing because it's an undercover type of thing going on, but we'll see how it goes. So June sits down with Rita, explain what happened. So she asked Rita what she would do. Rita said she's staying here. Staying in Canada. She planned on moving on with her life in Canada. She said, but she don't have a child. If she had a child that wasn't dead, she would do everything she can to see her child. Lord, why she tell June that? You know June about to come up with a harebrained scheme. So June visits Serena at the detention center. We come in on Serena explaining New Bethlehem and how Lawrence been trying to do this from the inception, and he seems to have more power now. Serena seems to think that her and June are friends and that they had a bond while she delivered the baby in the barn. Okay. And June was like, we're not friends. She said, but you forgave me. She said, I didn't forgive you. She told Serena I turned the other cheek and told her she's a better Christian than her. Use her shit right against her. Okay. So Serena asked, what should she do? June said, go back to the Wheelers. She said, how do you go back to a house with a woman who's trying to steal your baby? June was like, you really asking me that? She said, how did you ever live with me? And so June said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go back. You're going to go back to the Wheelers. You're going to act like a handmaid. And you're going to plot and plan your revenge against them. Serena said, is that what you did? She said, yeah, look at Fred and look at you now. How the tables have turned. So she asks Serena asks June, what would she do? June turns around and say, You cannot help your child if you're not with them. And at the same time, she's thinking about Hannah. Of course, you could just tell when she's thinking about Hannah. She's plotting and planning, y'all. So back at home, June gets a package. It's a disc that they received. Do they even make those things anymore? I would have been more impressed if they had a UPS drive. But anyway, it's a disc of Hannah walking in a school. I guess the wives to be school. And June gets emotional. Luke gets emotional. And she really wants to go help Hannah. And, she kind of turned on Luke and asked him what has he done in the past 7 years. And then she feels remorseful, says she didn't mean it. All these emotions is flying, and they just want to get Hannah back. I understand. I get it. So apparently they called Terezia over to show them the disc that they have. I'm not sure who they got this disc from, but they want to know if Terezia and his team will be able to get her back based on the information that they have in his disc. He said they're going to do everything they can because they don't want them to leave the country. So June and Mora and June sit around along with Rita waiting to hear from Terezio to see what they can do to get Hannah. And they get a phone call and it's Rita on the phone. June gets antsy. She leaves out to go shopping for some apples for Nicole. While she's shopping for those apples for Nicole, she gets a phone call from Terezio, said that they found Hannah in the wives' school. He said there's a lot of moving parts, but he'll let her know. June runs home to let Luke and Maura know that they found her and they're going to try to save Hannah. And then we see a last shot of Hannah at the school and she's looking up at the sky. It's almost like she feels like something's gonna happen, something's coming. Well, that's the impression that they gave. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. Like, comment, and subscribe. Come down in the comment section if you want to discuss the show. Thanks again to all my new subscribers. Peace.